Good day, everyone. I am Matt Harrison, and you are listening to the GiriCast, the Malaga fan podcast on Sport Direct Radio and as part of the Sports Social Podcast Network. On this week's preview show, we'll be looking ahead to our game against the dullest named team in Spanish football, Intercity. Intercity will be coming into the lovely city of Malaga for the now usual midday kickoff on a Sunday at La Rosaleda, and Malaga will be looking to get back on track after that turgid 0-0 draw with Atletico Sanluqueño last Sunday. Just a reminder, we're still in the early days of a new format here at the GiriCast with 2 episodes a week. So if you want to listen to our views about that 0-0 draw at El Palmar, then please go back and give that podcast a listen, titled Subpar in El Palmar. But here we are very much looking forward with me today is Nick Bell. How are you, Nick Bell?
I'm very well. Thank you very much, Matt. How are you doing?
I'm doing very good. I'm bracing myself, as I just said, for a double podcast recording session with the other one. But we won't talk about the other podcast. But yes, I am very good. Otherwise, we're close to another match day weekend, which is always a nice feeling. Just before we look ahead, I want to look back briefly and go back to that review podcast. And I want to ask, why is Kevin on the artwork for the title Subpar in El Palmar when I thought he was one of the better ones?
I will give you that, because he certainly wasn't, as we reviewed and said that there were several other faces that could have been used. I used Kevin for his natural, I want to say, resting bitch face. Okay. It's possibly the closest I got to it. All the other pictures I could find of sort of like Malaga players who were either in the game, or the only pictures you have of them either looking really concentrating playing or really jubilant celebrating. Yet there was just this one picture of Kevin where he had his arms out like this. And if you're listening to an audio podcast, they were out wide. And he just looked a little bit uncomfortable. So I picked him to go in there alongside Pepe Mel, just for the cover was very much the visual representation of the game. I thought it was very difficult to do and couldn't really be summed up by anything.
There you go. You've explained yourself. It sounds good to me. Just while we're talking about Kevin, actually, I realized it's something we've not, I don't think, discussed on any episode. I've not put it on our little agenda. So I'm going to, a bit of a curveball, and quite a relevant curveball, the baseball tops. Are we a fan?
Yeah, me and Luke had a chat about this last week, and Luke says there is a world where he shouldn't buy it, but he will buy it. Especially like you say, the baseball jackets and the is it? I can never decide whether it's Leatherman or Letterman. I don't know what it is. But I think the latter looks smart, and I think again people of a certain age can carry it off. But I think we'll be seeing maybe an influx of purchases across everybody, because a lot of people thought the same thing about the retro 90s white, purple, and green jacket. And last time we were at La Rosaleda, Matt, they were everywhere, weren't they? So maybe this can be a nice, refreshing change.
Yeah, as soon as I said it, I did remember actually you guys saying that's something you can wear in the sunshine, but not in Northern England. So I do apologize going back to the topic, but it's out now. So it'll be interesting to see if there's any baseball jackets at the game on
I
Sunday.
Imagine Kevin looks great in it. Just I think all those, what we'll now refer to as Generation 27 players, probably look fantastic in those kind of style clothing.
Yes. I don't think I can buy the baseball jacket because I've got the retro jacket. I don't think I can have both. That's madness. But anyway, moving from retro to the future, let's talk about future plans. I know we've brought this up before, but it's a big news story down on the Costa del Sol this week. The plans for La Rosaleda 2030. They keep mentioning La Rosaleda being in this World Cup. I think it seems nailed on, first of all. Would you agree with that? I don't want to sort of jinx it, but it feels like everything's pointing that it will be a stadium in that World Cup.
No, absolutely. I think as other big cities are starting to drop out, so I think it was Gijón and El Molinón. They dropped out the running to be in the World Cup a couple of weeks ago now, I think. But the more you see jazzed up about it, the more you think about the infrastructure that Malaga has got: international airport, great connections, worldwide connections, an abundance of hotels, the envy of probably anywhere else in Spain. You think it's pretty much a nailed on, and all these little snippets of videos makes me think that the World Cup is coming to Malaga. Judging by the shirt that I'm wearing today, Viva España.
Yes, you say the envy of Spain. I have seen stories this week and even today about these sort of vandals going around Malaga, tagging all the sort of apartments turned into tourist apartments, saying things. I can't remember exactly, but it was something like, "This used to be my house. This used to be a home." So they're not too popular, all those hotels in the city centre.
Yeah, multiple Airbnbs and things like that now that's popping up everywhere, aren't they?
Yeah. Obviously, I think we've talked about the plans before, but there's a few more sort of bits of artwork this week. It's obviously it needs to be a 40,000 seat stadium to qualify for the World Cup and have 5,000 car parking spaces. They're the two stats which are thrown about the most. The other thing that's been mentioned is that if this is going to happen, it's probably going to be started in early 2025 with the aim of having it done by 2028. I don't know. Do you have any new thoughts on the plans, or do you think we'll be kicked out of the ground for a bit if they're going to do this?
No, I don't think so. I think only really Barcelona have relocated whilst they are improving the ground. Real Madrid have managed to continue playing there. Obviously, Atletico Madrid built an entirely new stadium off-site, so they didn't have to be relocated. But I think for Malaga, from the initial construction of it all, it looks like it's going to be done in stages, and they're going to keep sort of like the bottom tier and then build up from there, basically. So I don't think we'll have to relocate. I suppose the question would be, where would we relocate? There's not a lot of other stadiums knocking around, unfortunately.
I think the plans say it's going to be 70% of the current stadium is going to be used to be built on. So I don't think there's much getting knocked down. So
no, it is going to divide opinion because I'm sure you're very much in the same school of thought as me. La Rosaleda, as it stands, has got a charm about it, a charm that you probably don't find anywhere else, especially in UK football. But in order to be moving with the times, in order to be competitive, you have to have a stadium that's all singing and all dancing now. And as much as the football club are where they are, the city itself, looks at it as a future project, not just to have a football team at or a World Cup at, but concerts, or we could have tennis tournaments there. Which I've seen in the plans as well, which is, the Davis Cup was recently in Malaga. So there's more to it than just obviously the future of Malaga Club de Football. It's a wider project. So I think we've got to embrace it. And if this season's attendances are anything to go by, we could easily fill 40,000, surely.
I think it would go up. I think it would just attract more people because as you said, it's got a charm to it, but it's, I don't know if it's a hot day or a rainy day, it can be quite tough conditions in there because there's no roof, but I think you'll get loads in. And I can't remember if I said it on the podcast or if I just said it out and about with Malaguistas. The thing that gives me faith is there's lots of stadiums in Spain which have been renovated and they're all really good. Like the San Mamés is incredible.
Yeah.
The Villarreal Stadium, and that's really cool. The new Bernabeu looks cool. I think the new Camp Nou looks cool. They're not just I guess us as, UK football fans and our listeners, they'll think of, I don't know, Shrewsbury's ground on the outskirts of Shrewsbury, or I don't know, the Madejski Stadium, and they all look the same, don't they? They're sort of
If Spanish architects get something absolutely bang on, it is football stadiums and redevelop, and even Mallorca's stadium, which probably not too dissimilar to Malaga's idea, sort of like building on what you already have. Just looks fantastic. But there's a lot of opportunities with it, which has got to be, you've got to look at the benefit rather than the negative. And, maybe not to put my tin hat on here, but as we were discussing in the group chat the other day, bigger stadium, better facilities, does it bring in the potential for new ownership or, someone to look at the club and say, well, maybe we could have that and that. So, the possibilities are endless.
Obviously, we've not put this in the running order. Do you want to unleash your theory yet, or do you want to save it?
Oh, I don't know, because I'm putting myself out on a limb there. But I suppose we've teased it, so I might. I'll tease it now, and I'll just say I think that Liverpool Football Club will create a group of football teams, and Malaga might be a part of it. And that's as much as I'll say on it for now.
Yeah, you did, and just to add, in the WhatsApp group, there was evidence and sort of theories to back it up. So it was quite a compelling read. So definitely something to explore later.
Watch that space.
Yes. Quique Perez did sort of a press conference at the Siempre Fuerte Awards, which related to Malaga Club de Football Foundation this week. And he was asked about sort of contract renewals, or it came up, and Pellicer, Roberto, and Kevin came up in conversation. Pellicer, he seems really keen on, but Pellicer seems to be the one saying, "Oh, I won't be here if we don't get promoted." And I don't know. I feel like the club are saying slightly different. I don't know what you think on that.
I think with Pellicer is that I think from a natural position of appeasing the fan base, of course he's not going to say he's going to be sticking around if they don't get promoted, because the culture's not there. We've seen managers who've even got promoted into this league or into Segunda and further that have been replaced because maybe they're not part of the plans moving forward. I think the problem with trying to get Pellicer onto a renewal right now and that discussion is that you're not really rewarding him for anything. He's just doing something. He's just doing his job. Whereas I think it'd be a lot more compelling if he was awarded with a new contract, if they were promoted, for example. There was a few people on Twitter who were very much against this idea, sort of saying, well, this should be something that is discussed at the end of the season because we don't know where we're going to be.
Yep, I think that's fair enough. And then obviously the other two names I mentioned, Quique Perez said they both want to stay. I think his words were everyone wants to stay, but Roberto and Kevin are difficult. Now I sort of get with Roberto because as we've chronicled on this podcast already, over the last few months, there has been interest in him from like Brescia and higher teams higher up the Spanish pyramid. And, they've offered some decent money as well. So I get why that's difficult. The Kevin thing I wasn't so sure about because he's been doing like interviews recently and talking, lovingly about Malaga. And I know he's not the first footballer ever to talk lovingly about the club he plays for and then leave. But I don't really get why his is so difficult. He seems quite keen to stay. I believe he's changed his representatives recently. I don't know if that is an issue, but can you think of any theories why Kevin might be difficult to renew?
I think the representative. I think the representative is the crux of the matter. To be honest with you, he separated from his last one, who seemed to be guiding him to want to stay more. I think this new representative maybe is farming him out to other clubs, maybe showing him where the likes of other players who've been at Malaga have gone to and things like that. So it wouldn't be surprising to me if in the early stages, with a new client, that they're not, for a better word, pimping them out into the market. Roberto, I suppose it's got to be financial common sense coming into play here. If we've got him for another season at least, I think, then getting onto a longer term contract just pumps up his value. So there could be an agreement in place with Quique Perez and Roberto to say, look, sign another contract and we'll sell you for 2 million or something like that, maybe. And judging by his form and the way he's been playing this season and the offers we've already had, there'll be people who'd be willing to pay it. But yeah, it seems like a very strange place to talk about this kind of stuff, given the celebration that we're having.
Well, I couldn't quite work out, was it like in a sort of press conference or like an actual sort of like just, spoke, an interview? I couldn't really work it out. So yeah, it seemed a bit odd.
Yeah. Gennaro's suit should have been the one that gets the headlines here, not contract renewals, because he looked like something straight out of The Sopranos. And next to all these young lads and Manu Molina, may I add, all wearing trendy jackets and white shirts and trainers, and he's there looking like Tony Soprano.
He does play a bit like Tony Soprano as well, to be fair to him. Just quickly on Kevin, it's just reminded me, in his interview he did with Malaga Oi last week, they did sort of ask him towards the end, and forgive me, I can't remember the clubs, but they did sort of say, do you want to stay at Malaga? And he was like, yeah, I love it here. And then they mentioned something, but, you would like to play for Man United or Arsenal in the future, wouldn't you? And he said, oh, yeah, of course I'd love to play for them. I was like it was a bit of a leap. But yeah, he's got his eyes on Man United. I think fair to say he's probably safer here at Malaga at the moment. You said like we had this celebration. I don't think there's too much to say about this, but they did sort of start talking about the plans for the 120th anniversary of Malaga next season. The only two things I've written down here is the thing we've mentioned already, a new hymno, which I'm a bit meh about. Like, I know we'll keep the old one and stuff, but I'm not really that bothered. A Legends game appeals to me a bit more, though.
Yes. Legends game would be great. Maybe to link it to your next podcast, Malaga Legends versus Bolton Legends would be a great setup for it. If I'm being honest with you, imagine the names on that team sheet.
Yeah, Fernando Hierro playing a half each for one of his local team, Malaga, and going back to his boys, Bolton, for a half. But yeah, was there anything else that really came from that? I didn't.
The shirt is the one that obviously interested me, as many will know. I am a shrewd collector of all things Malaga Club de football shirt wise, as I know you are also quite keen.
Well, I was going to say, is shrewd the word? Shrewd implies you're quite careful with it. It seems like you're control.
Shrewd is probably not the word then. Out of control, reckless spending on shirts. But if it's anything like what we've seen Hummel do for, say, Everton this season, even with Real Betis as well, with the anniversary shirt they made for them, it's going to be a beauty. I can see it already, and I think it's not too far away, to be honest. I think we're only about a month and a half out from it. Yeah.
I forgot about the shirt. You're right. They, I think we've said on this podcast, they've pretty much nailed everything, Hummel, so far. I think even if you don't like the shirts, because obviously the rose one is a bit divisive, it's really cool still. You must be able to see that's cool.
Absolutely, yeah. I think as well, Malaga have got a good pedigree in doing sort of anniversary or special celebratory shirts as well. So between that and what Hummel do together, I think we're on for something a bit special, and I immediately will be slapping out my credit card and going, take my money.
Yeah. Speaking of taking, Almeria have taken a new manager this week, and we got to give a shout out. I think we like Pepe Mel. Pepe Mel has gone to Almeria. He's left his job in Crete, where he won one game in 12 and said, yeah, shall I leave here? Mutual consent. So he's left there. He's left Greece, come back to the south coast of Spain. Lots of videos on Twitter/X today of the Ole Ole Pepe Mel singing. Yes. We liked Pepe Mel, didn't we?
I've got no hard or strong feelings about Pepe Mel. I love the song Ole 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 Pepe Mel. That kid, that kid's talented. The Bolton similes continue because he is obviously the Spanish Sam Allardyce. So he's now been parachuted in full Sam Allardyce style to try and save Almeria from relegation, even though I'm pretty sure it's looking impossible to do.
Yeah, for those that don't know, they've not won a single game this season. I think he's got a contract offer next season, or the word is he's going to be there next season to try and build them back up to get out. And of course, they have a sheikh owning them too. So he's got experience of that. Although I don't think he had any interactions with him here because he wasn't here very long. I did think, looking back on this podcast, we give him a lot of praise. And I think I might have said it at the time. I'm wondering if we did go a little bit sort of, isn't he great? And maybe he was just okay. I don't know.
Yeah, I think he was just okay.
Just compulsory shout out, to saying that he's also a writer and has got many books out there. Go and check out Pepe Mel's back catalogue. I'm sure the Dan Brown of football management, I believe I've seen written before. I don't think Sam Allardyce has written any books, if we're sticking with that comparison.
No, I don't. I don't think he has. Though I think he's got a biography out or an autobiography, one of the other.
It's on my Kindle because we did something about Sam Allardyce on my other podcast about a year ago about his time at Limerick in Ireland, and it was €1 on Kindle. So I bought it just to read that chapter.
You know what? I reckon somewhere, if you used to get Sam Allardyce to write a book, a fiction book as well, what do you think it'd be about?
Oh, he's like sort of, old school. It'd be a crime thing, wouldn't it? It'd be like a no-nonsense detective. Yeah, something along those lines.
I'm thinking like Life on Mars, but the book version.
Yeah, that's not a bad shout. Yeah, and it would be set in like the 70s or yeah. But the detective would have he'd be a no nonsense, but he would have a room with TV screens everywhere with all the data on, and he'd be analyzing all the evidence. He'd be like the Sam Allardyce that people used to talk about, the forward thinking one, not the sort of the dinosaur reputation he seems to have these days. Anyway,
I'd watch that.
Yes, definitely. Moving away from the news, then let's go towards this weekend's kickoff. Again, another Sunday midday kickoff. It's not published yet, but there is a lot of talk of that in Malaga Gaga. I've done a U-turn. Last month I wrote about it's silly, and this month I wrote about how I love it. I think it might switch back next month. Maybe I'll get bored of them, but should be a fun day. It's usually quite nice going to Morrissey's after the game, and it's quite chill. But as I've been reminded, it is St. Patrick's Day Sunday, so maybe we'll skip Morrissey's this time. I don't know. Did you have any strong views on the midday kickoff when you came? Because obviously you've been to one now.
Yeah, but I've done the last couple really, or certainly within the last 2 months. I think Luke said it best. It's great for us, especially for coming in and out. We don't get to enjoy the Morrisseys to the full extent because I've got to drive back from the airport sort of when I land back at 11 o'clock at night. So it suits that way, but I can see why it's not attractive. When you are living in the area and you want to, have the day with your family or go and meet your friends, and it's like, well, I've got to go watch a 90-minute football game first. Well, I can see why it's
the flip side of that is if you are Spanish, like the sort of lunchtime for them is sort of 2:30, 3 o'clock. So it does sort of land quite nicely there, I would say. But yes, it's gonna, I'm going to be bored of it by the end of the season, but for now, I'm enjoying it. Probably helps we keep winning as well. That's probably the main thing.
Imagine being an Atletico Baleares fan with the midday merchants.
yeah, and also never seem to win. So, obviously, going to the actual football, I think it might have been our very own Luke Chambers who is obviously coming over for this game, and I think I saw on one of his social medias. Must-win game, and I was a bit like, is it? How important is this game?
Depends. The measure is on what are Malaga's aims now. I don't know. We kind of feel like we're able to float a little bit. If we've well and truly given up the opportunity to catch Castellón, then it's not really a must-win game. It's just a game that we can play, hopefully get a win on, and we'll stay in the playoffs. It'd be nice to put them to the sword, though, because they really stifled us in the turnaround fixture at the ground in the middle of somebody's back garden. But I wouldn't say it's a massively important game. The games that are happening elsewhere are probably more important and will play more into where Malaga can aim for at the end of the season. So as long as we do what we need to do, then we should be fine.
Yeah, you might have just heard me typing then, because I was just checking. Obviously, the big game is Castellón v Cordoba. I was seeing if they are playing before or after us, but they play Saturday evening. So I guess that might dictate how big a game it is. If they draw, or maybe even if Cordoba win, that might make us think, maybe we can chase after Castellón. I don't know when Murcia are playing Ibiza, because that's the other game. And as we said, Ibiza are dipping. Still, though, they've still only lost 3 games all season, which is mad. But they do seem to be drawing a lot. And we should add, by the way, we were one of the teams to beat them, which has to give us confidence. But yeah, we're chasing. Like you said, a sort of bit of a reminder, this team, as you said, they did stifle us. They did a sort of Atletico Sanluqueño on us, but with much more goals. They really should have beat us in Orihuela. Like you said, the ground in someone's back garden, which I had the pleasure of starting my 2024 by visiting. We were really bad that night. And, the fact we got a point was, laughable, really. For those that don't remember, they went 1-0 up, and then Roberto scored a goal, quite a nice finish. And then they immediately made it 2-1. And just as we were all heading for the exit, Danny Lorenzo scored a lovely volley into the corner, which actually, in hindsight, is sort of might have kick-started the Danny Lorenzo renaissance, because he's been great ever since. That's probably when it all started, actually, isn't it?
Yeah, it was obviously part of that bad return to form after Christmas. Like we say, we were uninspiring against Intercity, but probably not too dissimilar to Sanluqueño. They're a team, to me, that you can't be inspiring against, if that makes sense. They're just there. I get nothing from them, like, where they're based, what they do, even the names on the team sheet. I think obviously there is one maybe big exception to that, but they're just another one of those teams that are going to frustrate us. And dare I say, with the form that they've been in, their plan is going to be to try and stifle us as well. I just kind of feel for the people like yourself, Matt, who've had to watch us play Sanluqueño and then Intercity match after each other, and then see if hopefully get away with coming away with a win.
Yeah, just quickly, we've talked about the name a lot. Did you notice their nickname? I only noticed their nickname this afternoon.
When you sent it across to me, I did. I know you've put shit nickname here. Yeah. I don't mind the English version.
Yeah. So for those, it's Los Hombres de Negro, which is Men in Black. So I don't know. I didn't notice at the game. They are missing a trick if they don't walk out to the theme song to the Men in Black.
Doing their full dance routine.
I quite like their shirts in a way. I quite like black and gold. It's a bit different, but it does look a bit like. I was thinking what it looks like earlier. It looks a bit like if there was a nightclub called Intercity, and this would be like their concept shirt, trying to look like glamorous. And I wanted to double check something. And on last week's podcast, this week's earlier podcast, I mentioned, no, the only team named worse is City United. And I've got to apologize there, because they're not called City United. They're called United City, who play in the Philippines. But also, they wear black and gold. So these teams are trying to compensate for their rubbish names by trying to wear these sort of premium, glitzy-looking shirts. So, because the only other black and gold team I could think of was LAFC. Have you got any black and gold shirts?
Not off the top of my head. I remember that Manchester United reversible one.
And actually, Malaga had black and gold, didn't they, as well? Now I think about it.
They did, yeah, with the Andalusia logo, the Umbro kit. But that's as much as I can recollect. Didn't Swansea have was there a away kit black and gold, or was it just a white and gold home shirt?
We had the white and gold home shirt, which I had, and had Michu on the back. And I do think to myself, I don't know what happened to it. I think it fell apart, the number. And I thought if I'd kept that and an actual that season bought Meet You number 9 shirt, that'd be worth a fortune now. I don't know what happened to it. Anyway, Intercity, we don't like their name. We sort of like their nickname. I quite like their shirt. Their form is getting better too. They are 8th in the league. They've had a really sort of bad run following the winter break. They lost a lot of games, but now they're on 3 wins in their last 5. Their last 2 games were against the 2 enclaves. They had a 2-1 loss out in Ceuta 2 match days ago, and in their last game, they beat Melilla 1-0. Both games had red cards. I noticed one of them, the last game was for Melilla, so they won against 10 men. I don't know. It's sort of, is there much to say about their form?
I think they'll be happy being 8th in the league. I think maybe it's too much of a leap to 5th now, where Huelva are currently sitting for them. So, but again, a team of this size, playing in the league that they're in, again, they're probably quite content with being at this level. That might just be me, with big club arrogance potentially, but we know they're not a massively well-supported club over in Alicante way, aren't they? So, I think, like I said before, they're going to be dangerous just out of being boring. Do you know what I mean? Like, even with the, I think you've put it down here, the AFCON top goal scorer in their lineup, he's still got something like a 38-year-old former Middlesbrough striker who, I don't think should cause us too much trouble. But yeah, I think, like I say, they just exist.
Yeah, and actually, while we're talking about Ensu, Malaga helped launch that AFCON goal scoring campaign because he scored against Malaga just before he went off to AFCON, and he was the top goal scorer in AFCON. So he's on a list of Didier Drogba. I can't even say it. Didier Drogba, Samuel Eto'o, Yakbini, all these sort of African legends. George Weah, I think, is on that list somewhere.
Good company.
Yeah, and now he's playing against Malaga. But I think it's even cooler with him because he did it when he was playing in the Spanish 3rd tier for Equatorial Guinea. He's their record goal scorer. He's probably going to break their caps record. He is an interesting character, I think. And actually, to be fair to him, he was pretty good in that game at Intercity. And he did score, but if you remember, that game was probably Alfonso Herrera's most complete performance. Maybe not the one with the most sort of eye-catching saves, but there was one magnificent one I remember. But he was really good in that game.
So
he should have more.
He'll all definitely come through him. That'll be to be. Like I say, I suppose the question would be which Intercity is going to turn up. We can't read too much into who they've beaten and who they've lost against. Going away to Ceuta and losing is no bad feat. Kind of really questions our defeat to Melilla this, because some of the teams that have gone and got points away in North Africa recently, where we lost, is quite upsetting, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. Yeah. But it should be good. A few returning faces. I think is it Cristo Romero was coming back. Again, I don't think we had much of an opinion on him last time, did we?
I liked him. I think he was good. I thought we should have kept him. And I remember in the return fixture, or the previous fixture, him having like this run where he was like absolutely rapid, which I don't remember being so rapid. But yeah, I always liked him, but he didn't. I'm not saying he was amazing, but like when he played, I always thought there was a good player in there. And obviously, he went to Real Sociedad B and ended up playing in the Europa League for the big boys, Real Sociedad. Only one game. Just you said like there's not many names. Just in case there's any Oxford United fans listening, Jemmy Fernandez plays for them, who played about 10 games for Oxford. But just late, and I don't think I put this on our list, Nick. So I've got a nice trivia question here for you because I missed this player. I only noticed it earlier. Oriol Soldevilla. Does it ring any bells?
You'd think someone called Oriol might ring some bells.
Well, basically, he went from Barcelona to Birmingham City when Aita Karanka was there. Only played for like Birmingham City's like academy, but he made his name. Was it last year or the year before? He achieved an amazing feat, and I'm guessing he's not going to get it, so I'll just go with it. He scored a hat trick against Barcelona in the Copa del Rey. He's the guy when Intercity played Barcelona and they lost 4-3. It went 1-1, 2-2, 3-3. He was the guy that kept equalizing for Intercity. So another name to watch out for if you've scored a hat trick against Barcelona.
That had completely passed me by then, because I thought this season that they struggled in the Copa del Rey against a team from a lower league. I completely forgot about Intercity last season as well.
Yeah, but I sort of remember the game, and I sort of vaguely remember him going to Birmingham as well, because I think I follow some Birmingham fans on Twitter, and obviously you know what it's like, especially when you're lower down the leagues. I remember when Swansea signed Andrea Orlandi, who had links to Barcelona, and we were buzzing. Obviously, great guy now with his punditry, and of course played for Blackpool as well.
He did.
I remember Birmingham City fans getting excited about Soldevilla. So maybe another name to keep an eye out for. Let's turn to Malaga then before we wrap things up. You picked the team last week and you got it bang on. Are you happy to keep with this, or is this depending on if Roberto's fit and Manu Molina's fit?
I think, and I completely forgot that we were supposed to make graphics to go alongside this. Luke Chambers will be seething. I think we'll be back up to a full strength this week. I think the fact that Roberto and Manu Molina have trained is important. I think this is, again, a team that we could probably, unleash them on. They probably won't get the full 90, or it'd be reckless if they did get the full 90. But, just to make sure that you're getting them back up to match speed as quickly as possible, I can definitely see Manu Molina coming back in place for Larrubia. I think Larrubia will be happy just to take his seat back on the bench. And dare I say, Roberto in for Dione as well. I think, it might be good to take Dione out of the firing line a little bit and give Roberto a bit of a free run and see how he links up with the likes of Kevin and Daniel Lorenzo and Ferraro as well.
Yeah, I would say that it sounded like Roberto and Molina were pretty close to being able to play against Atletico San Eugenio, but we perhaps thought it'd be a bit of a stodgy game, and maybe it was a good idea just to push them aside for that one and keep them fit for this game. So I agree with you. I think Molina might come back in. I don't know if Roberto seemed a little bit worse. The injury did. I don't know. Just a feeling I've got. The name I did write down in case they're both not fit. I've got to be honest with you, David Larrubia has blown his chance. I don't think he deserves the starting 11 place this time. I'd like to see Sangali have a game. I don't know why. I've always quite liked him, and I think at La Rosaleda give him a chance. But yeah, that's only if Molina's not fit. I'd bring him in for David Larrubia personally, just to have a look at him almost, really.
Yeah, I can see a world where that would happen. I think the system that Pace has got at the minute, because he seems to be wanting to continue with this sort of 4-2-3-1 formation he's working with. I just don't see where Sangali operates in there. If you put Sangali in a 3-man midfield, I think he's one of the better players we've got, actually. I think he's clearly talented. I just don't think he can sit next to Canaro as well as Molina does, but I'm happy to be proved wrong. Yeah. He was definitely a pick for me at the start of the season when the signings came in as an exciting prospect.
Yeah, I suppose he's a bit more of an engine than Manu Molina, isn't he? But Manu Molina is particularly good if we're chucking Kevin and Ferrero out on the flank so he can make those passes. I definitely don't think David Larrubia should keep his place after getting it. I'm going to throw it out there now, actually. We said Danny Lorenzo has been a disappointment this season until New Year's, the new year, where I think he's been arguably, up there with Manu Molina and David Ferrero as our best player. I think David Larrubia is probably my disappointment of the season now after I tipped him to be our star this season. I think he's really fallen by the wayside a bit. He's had some good sub appearances, but Yeah,
and just signed a new contract, which says
yeah.
everything about the way things are going for us at the minute.
Yeah, that's not me saying I think he's been awful and terrible, but I expected a bit more from him. And I think he started the season really exciting, and he was a bit raw and was making mistakes, but I could forgive him because you could see what he was trying to do and it was exciting. Whereas now, apart from maybe, I can't remember if it was the Ibiza game or the Atletico Baleares game, or maybe both, when he came off and was skipping past people, I thought, here we go. But that's been about it, really, for a few months.
Do you think with a more adventurous manager in a system that benefited La Rubia, he'd thrive a bit more?
Yeah, possibly. But I don't, Paya says put him as number 10. He's put him out wide. We've tried him different bits. I don't think Paya says, he doesn't strike me as telling him to run back and defend and things like that. I think he's not a full free role, but I think he has had freedom. So I don't know if it would make a difference. I don't know. But I think he's a brilliant footballer, and you can see he's a brilliant footballer. So I really hope that it opens up for him soon. But I don't know if you have anything else to add on Malaga Club de Football, or if you want to, I don't know, delve into the Intercity Wikipedia page even more and find out someone.
Nothing too much, but a feature I think is going to start happening a lot more is just running through the fixtures for the weekend. I know we've spoken about a couple of them already, but just to let everybody know what else is going around the Primera RFEF Grupo 2. It is 4 games, on Saturday this time. So a big change from last weekend. So plenty of football to watch on FEF TV if you are subscribed. First off, it is Algeciras against Linares Deportivo. The massive game in Castellón as they take on Córdoba. Antequera are hosting Recreativo Huelva. And then Merida finish Saturday at home to Alcayano. And then on Sunday, we've got Atletico Baleares against San Fernando, ID Ceuta against Atletico Staliqueño, Malaga Club de Football against Intercity, Melilla against Recreativo Granada down at the bottom, Real Murcia against Ibiza, and a Madrid B-team derby, the one we're all going to wait up for. 4 o'clock kickoff, Atleti B against Real Madrid Castilla.
That is the big one this weekend. I don't know if Alex Ashmore will be watching that, because he's just bouncing back and forth between the Madrid clubs at the moment, it seems. But
even anyway, he's happy, didn't he? As well, he's really enjoyed himself.
He did. He got to watch a good game as well. Some good fixtures this weekend, actually. As always in this league, it's a fun league, apart from Malaga's game last weekend. So we'll wrap things up there. Just before we go, perhaps we'll give shout out again. If you've not listened to our review of last weekend's game, go and listen to the review show. There's a Vamos episode coming out very soon. There's a Malaga Gaga coming out very soon. Check those out. Anything else I need to mention, Nick?
I think that is everything. I would have to double check whether we're doing a live stream on Sunday. I would like to assume that with Luke Chambers being there, you and Chris incapacitated, I'll have to check the Real Madrid fixture to see whether Alex Ashmore is available, but live stream to be confirmed.
Okay, so to be confirmed on that. But thank you for listening to this preview show. Go and subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok, and you can sort of follow the web, can't you? We're out in all different sorts of places. But I'll say thank you very much, Nick Bell.
Cheers, Matt. Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure indeed, and always a pleasure to speak to you guys, the listeners. So thank you for listening. We will see you soon. Adios and vamos, Malaga.